of Democracy Day, June 12, 2026. 27 years after, how far have Nigeria played? What are the gains and the lessons to, talk about, especially with us Nigerians and also into the political landscape right here in the country? Hello and welcome. This is This Morning on ITV. I am Nuoluwapo Stevens right here in our Benin studio. I'm super duper elated this morning because there's so many things to talk about. Today is day number 11th in the month of June 2026, and officially the World Cup kickstarts today. Hopefully we'll talk about it during TMI socials this morning. A lot of Nigerians say, I think we're not going to support South Africa. Right now, call me, gets me a Mexican name or a Mexico name or something. But anyway, we'll talk about that during the course of the show. Joining me on this table, I have Harry Agboje as well right here. Good morning, Harry.
A beautiful morning to you, Anu. How are you?
I'm very well. I don't know if you're a football lover, but who are you in support of? South Africa or Mexico?
Even if I were into football lover, I would support Mexico.
Oh my
goodness. it's commonsensical, and it's a no-brainer. And not after all that South Africa has done to us.
Okay.
I think it's payback time.
Oh my God. Well, I actually love South Africa though, so I don't know. I'll just be in the middle. May the best man win today. Well, I don't know if we have Lagos and Abuja on to join us this morning. But just before we go over to Lagos and Abuja, interestingly, during the course of this week, we had a beautiful conversation coming out from Senate Majority Leader Opeyemi Bamidele. Now, the Senate actually to consider sixth term of 6 years for president governors after 2027 poll. Now, Senate Leader Opeyemi Bamidele has disclosed plans to sponsor a bill seeking to introduce a single 6-year tenure for presidents and governors after the 2027 general elections. Now, Bamidele said the proposed legislation would be among the first bills he intends to introduce when the next Senate is inaugurated, arguing that it will enable elected leaders to focus on governance rather than re-election campaigns. Harry, what do you make out of this?
First off, I must commend the Senate Leader, Opeyemi Bamidele, for even having the courage to think of such an idea in the first place, because it takes a lot of courage, especially as a senator. At a time when Nigerians believe that the Senate only exists, at the whims and caprices of the president, most Nigerians have given up hope, so to speak, on the Senate, because they believe they are just rubber stamp and they are there to do the bidding of the president. But for Opeyemi Bamidele to have the courage to think this up in the first place, kudos to him. But having said that, let's examine what he said. I personally think that 6 years is way too much, for a single term for a president.
Right.
Let's reduce it to 4 years, because if 4 years is not enough for you to, manifest and make impact in the lives of the people, then you have no business being there. I believe that any president that actually has the interest of the people at heart and is serious about, making impact and changing lives, should be able to do that in 4 years. Even if you are not able to achieve everything, you could just pinpoint some key sectors, maybe economy, security, maybe the educational sector, right? Just try to pinpoint them and then see how you can make impact in those areas. If you do well, I don't even think you need to campaign. It's the people that will be clamoring for you to come back. It's that simple.
Well, your suggestion makes me remember Peter Obi, who lately has been so vocal, and he says he just wants to do one term in office. That's if he becomes the president of Nigeria. Of course, we're also aware about politicians and their own, shenanigans that they get to put out most times. But then again, let's really look critically at why Opeyemi Bamidele even said he intends on, reeling it out after the next election. So one of the major things he said is the fact that he feels that going or, pushing in for a second term in office kind of like distracts the ruling party. So let's say you win, right? You win this time around, you win your 4 years, and within the space of 2 years, you're planning again for re-election, neglecting governance. And what happens? Who gets to suffer for it? You and I, the people, the masses, get to suffer with little or no attention paid to governance, as we are experiencing now. It's interesting to see how in the midst of all of this insecurity, high I hear that gas has now been sold for over 2,000 naira per kg, depending on your location. And the politicians are still politicking at this point. So would it even scale through is also another conversation that we should have, because over time we've even heard politicians say that 4 years is literally not enough to change the trajectory of the nation. And now, Harry, you were saying let's go for 4 years, 6 years is really too much.
Yeah.
How would you marry both of them? Really, is 4 years enough to change everything in Nigeria?
Well, like I did mention a moment ago, it's really not enough. You know, I must acknowledge that. But again, like I said, it's enough to put out key indicators that you are serious about changing the trajectory. You understand? You may not be able to change everything. As a matter of fact, Nigeria's problems are really, really complex. Do you understand?
Our problems are enormous.
Exactly. Do you understand? So it's not
Right.
something, you know, one person can fix in 4 years if we are being practical, if we are being, you know, realistic. But again, like I said, if you're really serious about changing things, you could just pinpoint a few sectors and then make your impact in those sectors. You know, you could, you know, set the foundation for change in those areas, just so that the next time you indicate interest, you don't even have to indicate interest, like I said. It's just like Nigerians still remember President Yar'Adua till date. They still talk about, you know, the little impact he made, even when he was in office. You know, despite the fact that he sadly passed on, right? We still talk about the impact he made. We still talk about the strides, the giant strides that he made during his time. So who says the others can't take a cue from him?
Right.
So I personally believe that if they are really serious about making a change, they can do that without necessarily spending up to 6 years.
Of course. Now, let's move over to Lagos studio. I hear that Lagos is on just at this moment. Mercelina, good morning. Welcome on board. I'm pretty sure you've been listening to our conversation. You want to air your thoughts on it. 6 years after the 2027 election, would it even scale through is another question.
Beautiful morning to you, Anu. Good morning, Ari. Trust you guys are doing good. I mean, that's 6 years. I don't know, but I feel like Ari said earlier, 6 years is too much. Trust me, for one single term, it's actually obviously too much. You know, we're talking about the 4 years. Okay, even if they come to power for the 4 years, will they still, you know, do what they are supposed to do for the people? 4 years for one term, coming back for the next term, and with where some people, like Peter Obi, where he said earlier that, okay, if I come for 4 years, you know, I would do what I'm supposed to do, and I promise I'm not coming back for the same. How true is that? So they approved this 6 years, you know, for one term, and after that 6 years, you're not coming back. Some persons, you know, to me, I would honestly say that I even prefer the 4 years, you know, coming for the 4 years the first time, coming for the another 4 years the second time. So this 6 years, I honestly think that even if you still give them the 6 years for one term, they still will not. I mean, if you're coming into power, you already have it in mind that, okay, I'm coming into power to do this thing. So even if you're given the 6 years, if you're not delivering to the people, or you do not have the mindset to deliver, you still would not deliver. So 4 years, 6 years, I mean, whichever. But from Lagos, basically, we would not be looking at that aspect. You know, tomorrow is Democracy Day. So we'll be looking at democracy in Nigeria. Is Nigeria truly practicing democracy? We as Nigerians, are we free to speak? Can we come out to speak? Do we practice democracy in the country? I heard of June 12th, Democracy Day, as Nigeria delivered on the promise of democracy. So basically from Lagos, we'll be looking at that. But of course, remember, I have Dr. Victor Ohai here with me. Dr. Victor, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Benin, and good morning to our viewers. On the issue of 6 years, I remember we talked about it, was it yesterday morning also?
Yeah, we spoke about it.
Well, from the newspaper reports also. So I think that, for me, if you ask me, if you have a good leader, 6 years is great. If you have a terrible leader, 2 years is like eternity. Okay? So, but the one thing it would do is focus whoever is there on leadership, not on the next election, which is what has been happening now, where in the first 4 years, you use 2 years to govern or misgovern, and then the remaining 2 years, you're just focused on how to come back. And everything about governance is put at the back burners, and not only that, all resources are channeled towards the next election because the incumbent wants to come back. So I think the reason some of them are looking at 6 years is we have a lot of gerontocrats in the National Assembly who are probably old people who probably want to be president tomorrow, and they don't want to wait for 8 years. They are hoping that through rotation they might get into power. But whatever it is, I think it's a good compromise. 6 years, okay, fine. But I hope we don't get a leadership that will just plunge us into hell.
So much. Thank you so much, Dr. Victor. We can only look forward to everything as it unfolds as we move over to the 2027 general election. I don't know if we have Abuja on, but let me still stick around with Lagos just a little bit. I know that Mercelina is a great Arsenal fan. So, Mercy, today the World Cup will be kick-starting. Who are you in support of? I don't know if Dr. Victor actually is a football lover, but I'd love to know who you're in support of. Are you going in for South Africa or Mexico?
I don't want to be petty, but I'm not supporting South Africa. I would definitely support Mexico. I don't know. Like I said earlier, I do not want to be petty. I mean, it's my choice, but I would obviously support Mexico. So I just hope for the best to win. But if you ask me, I would support Mexico. I'm actually rooting for them, Mexico. So, Victor?
I don't know down to just South Africa and Mexico as if the other countries don't have no chance. For me, let me put it this way, and I'm totally unapologetic about it. The only team I support is that has Osimhen in it, unapologetically.
Trust me.
Okay, so right now, I'm Team Galatasaray, that's for at the club level. If Nigeria were at the World Cup, that would be my. Well, right now, I'm just going to content myself with being on the sidelines and just cheering whoever, just watching good football, great football.
Right. So obviously.
That's it. Till we get to.
Right. So obviously.
Osimhen.
Great. So obviously Dr. Victor is actually, patriotic. Well, sadly, we don't have Nigeria, in the World Cup this season, sadly. But thanks to thanks to our music stars, the likes of Burna Boy and Rema representing Nigeria at the World Cup 2026 this season, we can only look forward to all of the amazing stuff that would emanate from football season, especially at this time. Now, back here in Edo State, interestingly, yesterday we saw a news emanating from Edo State government as it says that the threat of a bandit attack in Edo has actually, resulted in the temporary closure of schools and parts of Akoko Edo. This morning, we're going to be having a community security advocate speak to us about the concerns. Away from that, we'll also look at the NDC as we see that there's a bit of brouhaha currently happening within the camp of the NDC. Yesterday, the leader of the party and also the founder of the party, Sereke Dixon, was at a sister station. They actually call him the Great White Shark, where he said so many things about it. Hopefully, we have the National Publicity Secretary right here in the studio this morning. And also tomorrow, ahead of Democracy Day 2026, we turn our attention to look at 27 years of uninterrupted democracy. How far have we gone? We'll have Lady E. Ejiro Umukoro right here join us as well to take us through all of this amazing conversation. Now let me move over to Abuja and say hello to Charity. Good morning, Charity. How are you? And what are we getting from Abuja today?
Cool. Well, from Abuja, the discussion is centered on the uninterrupted democracy in Nigeria. Since 1999, Nigeria returned to civil rule. We are going to be taking a look at the gains and lessons and probably losses of what Nigeria has gone through in the last 27 years. And we're going to be having our guest, public affairs analyst, for us to be dissecting this particular topic together in the Abuja studio.
Amazing. Well, we're looking forward to all of this conversation and more. Now we'll take a short break. When we return our attention over to the national dailies. Please join us again. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us on the program you wanted this morning on ITV. Now we'll look at a couple of national dailies. Let's see what's going on. We'll start off with the New Telegraph newspaper this morning, and the major headline says, Supreme Court verdicts, PDP can't present candidate for 2027 elections. Sadai has that to say. Says judgment puts aspirants' ambitions in jeopardy. Party that can contest election dead. Alleges Apex Court created disorder in political system. On page 3, you get details of that story. Away from that, minority leadership, reps definition of legislative experience ends. Ugochinyere bids. Well, wondering what that is, on page 28 you find out. Middle East crisis. Trump says U.S. will hit Iran hard again, on page 2. Senate orders Karari's arrest over alleged 210 trillion naira NNPCL discrepancies. On page 2 and 30, details of that story. In sport, 2026 World Cup, let the party begin. Mexico, South Africa clash in opener as showpiece starts without Eagles, sadly, on page 31. 2027, some Guba aspirants spent billions to get tickets. Who was speaking? The EFCC boss says vote buying killing democracy, on page 5. Federal government, Ethiopia finalized deal to transfer over 100 Nigerian prisoners. You get details of that on page 2. 3 killed as security officials foil mass abductions of Kogi WAEC candidates. Vice principal, 6-year-old, 1 other lose lives. Security repels bandit attack on Zamfara community, kills 6. Attack rumor, parents rush to pick their children from Niger schools. It is false alarm, the government responding. We will unravel source of false report, the police has that to say. And finally, on the front page of the New Telegraph, APC primaries, senators, representatives having BP over results. Who is speaking? Senate President Gospel Fabio. Oh my goodness. Well, somebody says advises whoever loses to accept outcome as party supremacy prevails. We have war chest to win Ekiti Guba poll. Yaldwata has that to say. Party will win with over 500 votes. Ubasani responded. And on the front page of the New Telegraph this morning, we have a picture there. We have the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, in that picture. The governor of Ogun State, Dapo Abiodun, also there, and other. And also, interestingly, we have the Edo State governor there in that picture, and other notable personalities in Nigeria. Well, that's all this morning on the New Telegraph newspaper.
Okay, next on our radar is the Daily Independent, and it's actually leading with the major headline here that says, despite inflation, security woes, Nigeria is progressing. And that's credited to the federal government. How true is that? Despite inflation, security woes, Nigeria is progressing. Well, I guess word on the street says otherwise. And then the writer there says, to unveil national ranching policy next week. To unveil national ranching policy next week. And still,
right. Okay. I think let's go with the one on the screen at this point. If you can, Harry.
All right,
Daily Sun.
The Daily Sun newspaper. The major headline here says, Constitution review. Reps vote on state police today. Constitution review. Reps vote on state police today. Ugochinyere loses out as lawmakers bar first termer from principal officers. Okay, above the masthead, police kill 2 suspected kidnappers, rescue 5 hostages in FCT. Police kill 2 suspected kidnappers, rescue 5 hostages in FCT. Amazing. That's great news. And then above that, NDC lawyers ask Kenneth Okonkwo to retract defamatory comments against Obi. And that's on page 5 of the Daily Sun newspaper. Back to you, Anu.
Right, away from the Daily Sun newspaper, let's look at the First Daily newspaper this time around, leading with insecurity, as it says, bandits storm WAEC Center in Kogi, kills vice principal, 2 others. Now the question is, how long, too long, would we continue like this? Federal government launches digital tax platform. Federal government airlift citizens from South Africa as xenophobia fears escalate. Insecurity, reps vote on state police bill today. Other interesting headlines this morning on the front page of the First Daily newspaper. It says, joint military operation kills over 200 ISIS fighters. U.S. cracks down on Nigerians over birth tourism visa scheme. IDP orders nationwide clampdown on vehicles without number plates. Federal government signs deal to repatriate Nigerians jailed in Ethiopia. And finally, on the front page of First Daily this morning, it says celebrities, fans gather in Lagos for Alex Okubo's service of songs. That happened yesterday, and it was really a very, very disheartening moment.
All right, let's take a look at the Punch newspaper this morning. And the Punch is leading with the headline that says, post-primary chaos worsens as INEC fixes candidate submission deadline. Post-primary chaos worsens as INEC fixes candidate submission deadline, and that's on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. And right above that, NAS will pass state police bill this week. Okay, let's flip to the next paper, which is the Daily Trust newspaper, and it's actually leading with the headline, gunmen disrupt WASI in Kogi, kill vice principal, others. Gunmen disrupt WASI in Kogi, kill vice principal, and others. Okay, I think that's all on the Daily Trust newspaper.
Right, away from the Daily Sun, we now go over to the Nigerian Tribune. It says that the vice principal, 2 others killed as bandits, others killed, okay, as bandits invade school in Kogi, right. Also, it says still on that story that security forces foil mass abduction attempt. Gunmen abduct Oshun local government vice chairman. Troops rescue 3 others. Oriwere City Boys Movement Director donates medical supplies to community, offers scholarship to late teachers' children on page 24. And also it says representatives to vote on state police bill today. We've talked about that already. Over 200 ISIS fighters killed in Northeast, says U.S. Africa Command on page 4. Well, do well to pick up a copy of the Nigerian Tribune this morning to stay abreast.
Okay, I think the next paper there is the Nation newspaper, and it's leading with the headline, Reps vote today on state police. Reps vote today on state police, and I think that's on page 2 of the Nation newspaper. And renewed hope ambassadors target 4.4 million canvassers for re-election, says Uzodinma. And the writer there says, group unveils nationwide mobilization structure in 176,846 polling units. And that's all on the Nation newspaper this morning.
Right, and that's how we get to wrap up the newspaper review segment at this point. Really must thank you so much for joining us on this beat. Well, there's still a whole lot more ahead on the show. Please stay with us and join us again.
Thank you very much for joining us on the program, Healthy Living. What is the kidney?
The kidney is an excretory organ in the body, which is for metabolism.
Tuberculosis affects many organs in the body, but the common ones it usually affects is the lungs.
Epilepsy is a neurological problem.
Okay.
It is an injury in the brain, which causes someone to begin to convulse, to go into fits.
It is curable, but the cure is a long-term thing.
If you eat well and avoid those risk factors that will make your immunity to be down, then the risk of contracting tuberculosis will be reduced.
If you're healthy, then you're wealthy.
The man went out to bring in thugs to come and beat her.
Yeah.
In a situation like that, do you think women would have seen that and still want to speak?
Really, we're talking
That's
about...
what I said. Welcome back. The Edo State government has ordered the immediate closure of 3 secondary schools in Akoko Edo local government area following intelligence reports indicating credible security threat to students, staff, and surrounding communities. In a circular dated June 9, 2026 and signed by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Education, Edo, Mr. Otameri, the government directed the closure of Ososo Grammar School, Ososo Comprehensive High School, and Makeke Secondary School, Makeke. So according to the ministry, the decision was based on security advisories received from relevant agencies regarding threats in parts of Akoko Edo local government area. Now, joining us this morning in the studio to dissect all of this and more is Reverend Sharif Azeke. He is a community security advocate. He joins us live in the studio this morning. Good morning, Reverend Sharif. Welcome on board.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Now, can you help us really break down what led to all of this news that we're hearing at this point?
In the area of security.
Right.
Security, if it is not managed, it spreads. And because it has not been well managed all this while, so it's spreading to different facets of human endeavors. Right now, it has spread into schools. And it's very pathetic for we hearing that schools has been so vulnerable in this our 21st century, where we're supposed to give more attention in the area of security. And because much attention have not been given in the area of security, that's why you see these people have to take advantage of that one to really begin to attack students, even the teachers. The criminals, per se, when they want government attention, they go for students and teachers. But when they want individual attention, they go for individuals. So government should give more attention to this. Like what happened in Ososo and its environment is based on intelligent gathering. I think the DSS have done a good job there to get that one set so that every school in the state will be alert and be well prepared for what is before us.
Now, isn't it even worrisome that little children and also teachers, but more importantly, children are now, the soft target of these guys? Why? How did we get here?
Well, it's a very pathetic thing that we have gotten to this point we keep on asking, how did we get to this point that the security situation of this country are so degenerated to a point that nobody is safe? From the presidency even to the baby in the womb, nobody is safe. The whole thing is collapsing on a daily basis. Now, the focus now is on our schools. I think based on what is going on right now, the government has much to do because the school is under the purview of the government. It is the responsibility of the government to make sure that schools are well protected. The guarantee of a child going to school and returning should come from the government. So the children have lost confidence of going to school with the mind of whether they will return or not. Even parents, it's affecting the students, it's affecting the parents, even the community, the government. Nobody is at rest at this time. When you study what has happened within these few years, you discover that a lot of schools have been attacked, students adopted, not just being adopted, killed, teachers killed. And I would say much has not been done in this direction. But what is happening now is a wake-up call for the government to really hold the arms from the bull angle.
All right, Dr. Sheriff, I'm sorry, Reverend Sheriff. You made mention of the fact that whenever they want to get the government's attention, they go for kids. Now, do you think, from the body language of the government, that they're actually doing enough in that regard? Because it seems to me that you know, it's the children, the vulnerability of the children is the reason they're actually going for them, and they know that once they attack the children, then the government will show more interest or pay more attention to them. Now, do you think the government is actually showing by its body language that it's serious about, you know, protecting these little ones?
From my own perspective, I think government need to do much concerning what is happening, because when you miss this aspect of human life, you have tampered the future. Because education is the future of every country. When the children miss that aspect of it, you've already mortgaged the future of that environment or that the society to what has happened to insecurity. So much attention should be given. Government should put much attention in this direction. That's what I'm talking about. There's a wake-up call right now. If you work very well, our schools, majority of our schools are vulnerable. Check our schools. Even ordinary perimeter fence, you don't see it in most of our schools. The security architecture, the organogram of our schools, these things are very weak. So we need to begin to look at this direction to see how we can put system and structure together. At least we keep on hearing this reoccurrence.
Because talking about security architecture, do you think that it has become necessary for security agents to be stationed at schools? Because as it stands, even what you just talked about, the organograms of these schools, it's not. We don't have enough. Like, most of these schools are not protected enough. The walls are not even high enough to begin with, and even if they're high enough, what's the guarantee that they can keep these marauders away? So do you think it has become necessary for security to be stationed at these schools just to forestall?
Very, 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 very important. Which, if we cannot learn from what is happening, let us learn from other nations who have gotten it right. Because the protection of every Nigerian is the civil right of the government. The purpose of government is to protect the citizens. And when government fails from that angle, government has failed generally. That is why government should do much about, because we are looking at we are talking about the future here. The future of this country lies in these children we are talking about. Because whatever we are doing, we are going to hand over the future to them. So we should not joke with the future.
Okay. Now, let me also quickly run you through the press release that was actually released yesterday by the Permanent Secretary at Ministry of Education, Mr. Otamere. Now, in that press release, it says that all academic and non-academic activities in the affected school are apparently hereby suspended with immediate effect, and however, candidates currently participating in ongoing West African Senior School Certificate Examination (WAEC) shall be allowed access to sit for their examinations under strict security arrangement and supervision as may be provided by relevant security agencies and community stakeholders. So apparently now that we know that there are going to be presence of security architecture in some of the schools, but do you think it's going to still give parents the confidence enough to even allow their children continue the WAEC examination that is currently on?
The government should give confidence to the parents that they are doing much about this direction. The parents need to be convinced, because right now, no parent wants to release his own child to a situation that is not having security promise. I can't release my child to an institution when the guarantee of that child security is not there. So there's this panicking everywhere. For even parents to release their children is becoming a problem. So the government should do much by convincing the parents on what they are doing. They should give special, proper awareness on security, safety in schools. Very, very important. And if we look at the genesis of this whole thing, I keep on talking about our borders that are open. We have a lot of strangers in our midst. We should not just talk about school. There's something that's transpired before all these things happen. Our borders, I keep on saying, our borders are open. And too many persons have entered this country unchecked, unprofiled. Nobody is profiling them. We are in the midst of people we don't know. That points a very terrible danger before us. Now, these guys are already in with us. Nothing like profiling. I think I was talking about this issue of census. When last did we carry out our census to know who is a citizen, who is not a citizen? About 20 years ago, even when the late President Buhari tried to do it, it was cancelled. We don't know why that was suspended. Even till now, we don't even know our numbers. We don't even know the people that are with us. We don't even know who are Nigerians and who are not Nigerians. Because these people that are doing this devilish act, most of them are not Nigerians. How can you enter into another man's country and try to take supremacy? It's a sign of certain things are not well handled. I believe from the government angle. The government need to do much. They need to look at our borders, because if these borders are open, no matter what we are doing, it's just like you open your door and you are praying that nothing should happen. Opening your door, you have only given leverage to whoever to come and attack you. So the government should look at the borders and look at those who are with us. These are the things that we need to look at very well.
Now, as we get to, leave the conversation here, because interestingly it's an ongoing one, how can the community leaders and security agencies actually work together to ensure that we're actually more safer in our different communities moving forward?
Security and safety is the responsibility of the government, but we should not put it in the hands of the government alone. It should be the responsibility of everybody, as long as things are going to this point. Everybody should come to the round table. Everybody should be stakeholder to fighting this one monster affecting this country called Nigeria. And when it comes to the safety of our schools, it is not just going to be done by the government alone. There are some systems and structural modalities that need to be put on ground. Number one, the government need to play their proper role by ensuring that the school is safe in the area of infrastructure. Because when you are building a school, you must look at the infrastructural design and you must put security into it. Like I talk about perimeter fencing. At least every school, the government should come up with a pattern that every school needs to be fenced. That's number one.
Do you think the fences are enough to keep the...
No, I'm coming.
Okay.
Every school needs to be fenced, because that's number one thing. Many of us, our homes are fenced. I can't live in an unfenced house as long as Nigeria is concerned in this direction. We should fence our schools. We should put good gates. You put the CCTV camera, no matter the environment, to checkmate security issues. Put CCTV cameras. Have an operation center where these things are monitored. You have your logbook. Try to check how people come in and how people go out. Your exit and your entrance should be well guided. All right. Then every school should have security guards.
Absolutely. Well,
we are coming to that.
Absolutely. We really must go right now because of the timing, but thank you so much for gracing our studio today, Reverend Sheriff Azeke, Community Security Advocate. Thank you so much for your time this morning in the studio.
Thank you very much.
Now, we'll take a short break, and when we return our attention over to politics nationally. Please stay.
ITV, certainly the best.
The land of Onwa is inhabited by the people with common ancestry, language, religion, economic and socio-political ties. However, irrespective of their subtitle differences in language and culture, they share common traditions. The people are known for their hospitality. Onwa traced their origin to Benin Kingdom as a result for a man to find a comfortable place for living. The name Onwa was derived from the largest and longest river in the area, which is known as Onwian or Onwa. It means one who makes merry in affluence.
ITV, certainly the best. ITV, certainly the best.
welcome back. Now, as we count down to the 2027 general elections, political observers are paying close attention to the development within the NDC. Internal disagreements, leadership questions, strategic realignment, and concerns about the party unity have sparked intense debate among members and supporters alike. Now, the question is, can the party overcome its current challenges and present a unified, or actually a unified front ahead of the next electoral cycle? Now, what are the root causes of the crisis, and what implications could it have on the party's future moving forward? Today, we examine all of these issues, explore possible solutions, and hear from a key stakeholder as we discuss the 2027 navigating the crisis currently in the NDC. Well, joining us to dissect all of this and more is OSA Director. He is the National Publicity Secretary of the NDC. He joins us live this morning. Good morning. Welcome on board.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Now, if you can hear me, how would you describe the current crisis rocking the NDC at the moment? Or rather, is there any crisis as we speak within the NDC?
Thank you very much. It was good that you rephrased the question, if there's any crisis rocking the NDC. Speaking on behalf of the party, I will say that we are experiencing what is not unusual, about the fallout of primaries in political parties. Once you are able to conduct your primaries, at the end of the day, you have several people jostling for just one ticket. And when the outcome is pronounced, certainly those who didn't get the ticket will have one reason or the other or another to say why they didn't get the ticket and probably criticize the process. We are respectful.
Okay, Ms. Elsa, are you there? Well, whilst we're still...
And cognizance of the fact that everyone has his own opinion to express, we want to ensure that we are able to... what you term a crisis is not an unusual thing after primaries in political parties. And considering the fact that, decently speaking, we are just barely less than 4 months old as a party, and we went through a lot of daunting challenges, getting the party registered, getting the digital register of the party, conducting congresses from what level to the state, and which culminated in the national convention, and they having to organize the primary. And we organize this primary across the length and breadth of Nigeria, 36 states, including Abuja, the FCT. We should be commended that a party that is just barely 3 years old was able to do that, fielding candidates in every state of the federation. And whatever differences people are, some of our members are expressing on the media space, we are addressing it, and we have set up a reconciliation committee, to look into all these grievances and harmonize. After the primaries, we even had to set up an appeals committee, which some did not even take advantage of. We encourage members to send their appeals to the appeal committee so that all these things can be looked into. But we have already passed that stage now. We have gone into the stage of the reconciliation committee. And this reconciliation committee, apart from the one at the national level, we are encouraging the state chapters of the party to also set up a reconciliation committee up to the world level to ensure that all our group members are assuaged and spoken to understand and appreciate the fact that at the end of the day, only one person is going to pick the ticket. Yeah, the system was not perfect like every human system, but there was no deliberate obstacle or mechanism put in place by the party to shut out some people from the process and from realizing their democratic aspiration. And we believe that at the end of the day, we'll be able to get all our members on board and resolve whatever differences we have. But it is not a crisis. It is a normal occurrence in political parties or even within a family, where people have different ways and means of trying to reach a particular goal. The most important thing is that we have a set objective, a core values that all members of the party subscribe to. And that is why we are the party to beat and the party for the future and the party that will take Nigeria to its destined position that is in the Committee of Nations.
Also, I hear you loud and clear. Well, I don't think anyone can dispute the fact that the NDC has increased rapidly since it came on board in, 3 months ago. But now, hearing internal dispute, especially emanating after the party primaries, is it possible that the speed at which NDC has grown has outpaced the party?
Yeah, we cannot really say it as a party. Certainly speaking, we expected to grow big. We are building an institution, but no one can tell you for a fact that he or she expected the party to grow this fast and so quick. So that in itself is a challenge, but it's a challenge that we are determined to tackle positively and effectively. And we are blessed to have leaders of strong character, leaders who are committed to the virtues of democracy and the rule of law. A national leader, distinguished Senator Seriake Dickson, is vastly experienced, in every arm of government. He's a lawyer. He's been a commissioner for justice in Bayelsa State. He's been a two-term member of the House of Rep, serving second term in the Senate. I was two-term two-time governor of Bayelsa State. So both the judiciary, legislative arm and the executive arm is vastly experienced. We have our flag bearer, the presidential candidate Peter Obi, former governor, two-time governor of Bayelsa State. We have the running mate, the vice presidential candidate, Dr. Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, two-time governor of Kano State and former Minister of Defense. So these are vastly experienced people who are not unfamiliar with this kind of challenges of managing a party that is rapidly growing, because like we always say, we are the fastest growing party in Nigeria, even though some say the fastest growing party in Africa, because anything that happens in Nigeria, you extrapolate it to imagine that since Nigeria is the biggest country on the continent of Africa, we are the fastest growing party in Africa. So we are managing these challenges because we have experienced leaders to do that.
Okay, so there's absolutely no doubt that you guys boast, or should I say the NDC boasts, a plethora of prominent people who are experienced in politics and politicking. But I would like to know, because you just made mention that the differences or the crisis in the NDC, so to speak, are just healthy disagreements that siblings face. Now, is that really the case? Because some persons would rather see it from the angle that this is just a clash between people who are egocentric, people who are fighting for their personal interest. How do you reconcile both?
Yeah, you may not be far from it. Not all of them. Some of them will certainly be fighting for their own personal ambition. There's nothing wrong in that. At the end of the day, you have to subsume or subjugate your ambition to the policies of the party. We have a mechanism for enhancing and promoting internal democracy. So your ambition should not override the established programs and policies of the party. You have to exercise that your ambition within the established rules and regulation of the party, that is the NDC. That is what we are making every member understand. As a matter of fact, we call ourselves a party of innovation. And we started that right from day one. When all the aspirants came to Abuja for screening, at the end of the day, we organized a dinner party for every one of them. It has never happened for a party to organize a dinner party at its own expense for aspirants, where the national leader, distinguished Senator Seriake Dickson, and our presidential candidate, His Excellency Peter Obi, and the engineer Buba Galadima, who represented the vice presidential candidate, addressed aspirants. We appeal to them that in some cases we have a lot of people contesting for just one ticket. For example, in our state there, Oredo, initially we had 21 aspirants for the federal constituency. This was prone to 11. And at the end of the day now, only 4 of them went to the final tape, tried to breast the tape. So these are things that pose a lot of challenge for us. But at the end, we are determined to ensure that please and please and please, only one person is going to get the ticket. And at the end of the day, we all have a role to play. We don't need to occupy elective offices before we can contribute to the growth of the party and by extension, the growth and development of our dear country, Nigeria.
Salsa, a lot of things to talk about, and we're just few time in. Now let's talk about the aggrieved members. Right here in Edo State, we have aggrieved members protesting in Edo State regarding the NDC primaries. And not just in Edo State, I hear a similar situation happened in Imo State, in Rivers State as well. In fact, in Imo State, the questions are being raised about internal democracy. And we also hear allegations of the NDC actually giving their tickets to the highest bidder, meaning if you do not have enough money, you won't get a ticket. Why is that happening?
That is totally untrue. These are narratives that are being bandied about in the media. We are not mindful of that, because the way Ona will emerge as the biggest opposition party right now is also posing a threat to the ruling party. We have intelligence information that there are moves within our party, or there are people around in the country who wants to ensure that this party is demarketed and delegitimize our aspiration. But that is normal in politics. That we give a ticket to the highest bidder is certainly not true. I know what you are trying to refer to. But some people complain that they were asked to pay development levy, development levy to the party. Yes, every party, the oxygen of every party is finance. Parties are run on the basis of finance. We should also be commended that we are a party which was funded by Seraki Dixon, but he is not saying, oh, I'm the founder and I'm the owner of the party. The party belongs to every one of us. And every one of us was given an opportunity to contribute financially and own the party. And it was not by force. Everyone was told, these are contributions you have to make. And it was not compulsory. There are a lot of people who never contributed anything. There are a lot of people who contributed whatever they have. And there are those who fed maybe their money bags, and they contributed immensely. So for people to come out to say, we are selling the ticket to the highest bidder, is totally untrue. The lists have been banding around in those states. Your station is based in your headquarters is in Edo State. Please look at the list that have been banding around. Assuming, why not consider, assuming that those are the true list, how many of those people are money bags? How many of those people are money bags? So that is totally untrue.
If you can hear me, I feel at this point we're getting conflicting response, because yesterday at a sister station, the founder of the NDC, who also calls himself the Great White Shark, reacted to this particular allegation, and he said, when you are fighting with the big wigs like the APC, who have a lot of monies, and you do not expect someone who comes in suit and say, I have intention, I have the zeal, I have the capability to run, and it just flies like that. But away from that, another major question I'd love to ask you is the fact that NDC hasn't released any results that emanated from the primaries at this point. Why is that? And we're also getting feelers that, interestingly, on social media and offline, we're seeing some results, and the NDC and you in particular have come out to say that we should disregard those results. But at this point, no results out from the NDC. What's going on?
Yes, I thank God you referred to the Great White Shark. And he also said on that program that it is not compulsory that you print out your result for everybody to see. I ask you a question. The ruling party, All Progressive Congress, APC, conducted their primaries 2 weeks before us. Have you seen any result anywhere from them? The ADC conducted their primaries before us. Have you seen any result from them? There's a procedure. When you conduct your primaries, it is not compulsory that you place it on the wall for everyone to see. What you do, or the process, is that you upload the name to INEC. and you contact candidates that are successful to come and pick their nomination form and fail. It only becomes public when INEC now makes its portal public to show the candidates of the various parties. So no one is showing any result publicly. We have not done anything wrong by not publishing the result. And that is why we consistently maintain that report of results or display of results you see on social media platforms and all that are not necessarily the true results of the party. That people should wait until INEC make their public portal available for everyone to pay. We have done the needful constitutionally.
All right, Mr. Osa, you will agree with me that His Excellency Peter Obi, a former presidential candidate, is the reason, the major reason why the NDC seems to be gathering so much momentum. And given the crisis that the party is facing, I know you've dismissed it as just a healthy disagreement that families experience. What is Peter Obi saying? What do you think is his body language as regards this squabble that the NDC is currently facing? Is he making any efforts to, use his influence, his good influence, his good personality to change the narrative and to ensure that the differences are, sorted out? Or he's just concerned about his personal ambition, which is becoming the president of the country?
Well, let me say that we are not like the APC that rule based on body language. We make our pronouncement and...
Okay. Go on. Mr. Osa, are you there?
Okay, I think
I'm here.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead if you can hear us, please.
I'm hearing you.
Okay, you want to answer the question that was being asked by my colleague?
Yes.
You did get a question.
I got the question about our presidential candidate Peter Obi, what is his position and what his body language is. And I said that we are not the APC that rules based on the body language. Peter Obi is a man who is consistent. Yes. Well, the fact is that he's also working hard to ensure that all these matters are resolved. And as a matter of fact, in the Southeast, he nominated four leaders, that is caucus leaders, to take care of this primary, including himself. In Abia, we have Chief Oyema Ugochukwu. In Imo State, we have former Governor Achike Udenwa. In Ebonyi, we have former Governor and Senator Sam Egu, and he was, His Excellency Peter Obi, was in charge of Anambra State. So to that extent, he was an insider, in the process of the conduct of the primaries in the South. Okay. And I'm sure that they are going to sit down in a way manner to ensure that everybody is reconciled and put on the same page.
Okay, well, we really have to go at this point, but the final question I would love to ask you is, do you think how sure are you that the NDC can actually challenge the ruling party in the forthcoming election?
Well, that is blind. That the NDC is the biggest challenge or the biggest threat to the ruling party. And we are not taking Nigerians for granted. We'll continue our grassroots mobilization. We're going to sell our policies and the programs to the people so that they can see and know that the NDC is a salvation vehicle. We are the Salvation Army, determined to rescue Nigeria from the present state of mess that has found itself. So the NDC certainly is the party to beat, and we are the darling and the political bride of Nigerians presently.
Well, Salvation Party indeed. Osa, Director, National Publicity Secretary, NDC, thank you so much for your time this morning on the show. Well, we can only wait and see to the outcome of everything moving forward in the 2027 general election. Now, we'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll move over to talk about ahead of Democracy Day 2026. How far have we gone? All of this and more after this break. Thank you so much for rejoining us on the show as we commemorate Democracy Day tomorrow, June 12, 2026. It is important to have a moment of reflection on the nation's democratic journey, its triumphs, challenges, and lessons learned along the way. Now, democracy remains a cornerstone of governance, and it was founded on the principles of participation, accountability, the rule of law, and the protection of fundamental rights. Over the years, significant milestones have been recorded in strengthening democratic institutions and promoting citizen engagement. Yet, questions remain about governance, electoral integrity, economic development, security, and the extent to which democratic dividends have reached an ordinary Nigerian. So at this moment, we take a closer look at the progress that has been made so far, obstacles that persist, and the opportunities that lies ahead of us. Now, joining us to do justice to all of this and more is Lady E. Ejiro Umukoro. She is the founder and publisher, Lightray Media, right here in Nigeria. Good morning, Lady E. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you very much, Amelia.
Now, let's begin. How would you assess the state of democracy in Nigeria compared to the previous years?
It's interesting that we're trying to measure against the backdrop of the kind of governance that is supposedly to be practiced in Nigeria, namely that it's about democracy. Unfortunately, if we are to measure what democracy represents, which is power by the people, vested in the people, for the people, it shows that the majority of decision-making in terms of voting, in terms of participation in policies and governance and economic development, primarily rests on the active involvement of citizens in its entire process, the entire gamut of the landscape of governance and accountability in terms of legislative and judiciary practices. Nigeria claims to have a democracy, and it imported ideas that are lumped from two different countries. You have the system of parliament and the system of the federal government, and then you have the system of involving, the bicameral representation, either the Senate or representatives for Nigerians. These are all imported ideas. While it is true that democracy should be about the people, governance should also be adaptable to the structure of its own people, their value system, the way of life, their philosophy, the principles that guide them, the culture, the tradition. All of that is very key in the redesigning of what you call a governance system that is effective. Currently, as we are now, Nigeria is in a situation where we have what is called a liberalistic kind of governance. It's not so much about democracy. The reason being that when you have too much liberality in the manner that it is being done today, you have a situation where it is about the elitists within a small pocket of people who become the oligarchs, not just oligarchs, but you also have a section of the elitist minority of the minorities who now have or hold power and hold sway throughout the system in terms of who benefits, in terms of you have to know somebody to be able to succeed in life. You have to know connections, because without them, permission does not exist and opportunities are close to you. That cannot happen. A democracy means that the economic prosperity of a people is not hinged on the permission or the approval or the access to a certain few group of persons who are the minorities of the minorities for you to succeed in life. If you take, for example, what has happened in the New York City, for example, you will see that there was a change that happened. You had the elitists, the business moguls. You had the elitists, the politicians who wielded the political will. You have the elitists, the few billionaires who were making so much money in Silicon Valley, as well as the trade business investment. These people just seems as even the big pharmaceuticals, they were all involved. These were a small cluster of people, less than 0.00001% of the entire population, seem to hold sway to an entire state as it is. And the citizens now realize that if we don't do something about this, what will happen is these few persons are going to take over our survival. And then they came out en masse. In Nigeria here, what we're beginning to see is that the citizens themselves have already even lost hope to themselves. The citizens are refusing to fight for what they should have for themselves.
Right, Lady E. Right, I hear you loud and clear. So many things have actually been brought to the table at this point with that amazing introduction. But now let's move over to talk about the achievement so far. 27 years of uninterrupted democracy. What are some of our biggest achievements, or do you think we really do have achievement or not? Let's hear you.
Achievement in Nigeria is pretty relative. For example, when we talk about we still have higher apathy in voting amongst Nigerians. You see Nigerians who try first vote for the first time in their lives, and all of a sudden they want to run away, right? They take off because the first time they went out to vote, either they were attacked, they were brutalized, or the electronic system failed them because you had umpires within the electoral magnets and body who seem to have made compromises. And that backfires on the will of the people. So on that aspect, when it comes to voter participation, active involvement, and the reward for being in that system, who as a voter go out to vote, we have not done pretty well in that direction. Can it be better? Absolutely, it can be better. And if you look at what is happening today in Nigeria with the diversity and the multiplication of political parties, it's not just having them in numbers, but we want a situation where the political parties understand their role. That is not about having a political platform so that you can clinch the ticket, so it will now become your turn to loot the treasury. That mentality is what we need to fight. And we see that very pervasive in our society. So we see people churning out political parties. In their numbers, it's fantastic. You say, hey, you applaud. But in the reality of its manifestation, of the impact on society, we're not doing very well. We saw the incident that happened in Delta State where the train overrailed and people's lives were lost. We had a situation where the federal government has a budget for the development of Nigerians' infrastructure. But if you look at our train infrastructure, for example, it is abysmal. It is disappointing. It is disgusting. A situation where Nigerians cannot travel the entire gamut of this landscape called Nigerian space via train. As at this time, when China, when US, when other smaller countries lesser than Nigeria already have a train system that are not just effective, but sound coaches that carry people from one point to another. That is a failed system already. So we need to address all of this kind of poor infrastructural lack. For example, to go to Lagos, you have the Ibadan Expressway, the Badagry Expressway that's supposed to connect us to places like Togo and other countries outside of West Africa, down all the way to Sierra Leone and all of that. You don't see that development happening. We have waterways in Nigeria that should be transversing Nigerians across the places, no matter where you are in the world or anywhere you are in Nigeria. But you don't have that. So even our water system is nothing to write home about. Look at, for example, the Lekki Expressway in Lagos, the same thing. So if you go throughout Nigeria, even oil-rich states like Delta, Edo, Ondo, you see places like River State, you cannot say there is one city where the entire cities themselves, their roads are made, or hospitals are in the places they should be, or the local government itself are
All right, thank you very much, Lydia Jiro. That was a very brilliant analysis. Now, prior to this interview, we had a conversation that brought us on internal democracy. Now, the squabbles that we see in some of these parties, even the NDC, which is touted to be the new bride, do you think it's a reflection of insincerity on the part of the aspirants, the powers that be, or these are just normal differences that political parties go through? Still talking about democracy.
Nigerians are not honest with themselves. Nigerians are their own number one self-saboteurs. Nigerians are their own hypocrites and pretenders. Nigerians do not confront a situation, they rather mask it with dressings and words and persuasions, and then they will now throw in a bit of tribal bigotry or some political shenanigans happening. We see this all the time. So what you're seeing playing out is a Nigerian character. And until we begin to understand that our character as a people is deficit, and we need to begin to look at the man in the mirror, the Nigerian in the mirror. You see what we see playing out in all the parties. I mean, which party is free of this? Not one. And I mean, not one. Why? Because there's a Nigerian mentality of a single person takes it all. There's also the mentality of now we own, now for us. So we confessed. How do you deal with a mentality that is so selfish, so self-centered, so very intrinsically about self and little else to do with anybody else? You're not going to thrive. So until we address the Nigerian character, which is fundamentally a problem where it is driven by greed, it is driven by self-interest, driven by the need to control and own everything else to the detriment of other persons, we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to continually see this. And that's not democracy. A democracy is one whereby we all go into, for example, a party. Even if parties have manifestos, you don't see them implement these manifestos. Even when parties know the rule of law, you don't see them, implement the rule of law. So until we begin to address these issues we have with regard to how we even treat this entity called Nigeria, how we respect the laws that are already good laws in Nigeria. We have very good laws in Nigeria, but we need to begin to implement all of this in our totality in how we deal with one another.
Right, Lady E. Now, I know you're one of the most vocal person when it comes to media and democracy here in Nigeria and also globally as well. So I'd love to get your insights as regards how important is it for us to have free and independent media to democratic growth in the country?
All right. I think first and foremost, their role is for public interest first. And if their role is public interest first, it means they must do everything they can to devolve as much in the financial dependence on political structures that feeds into the system. You must be able to see how you can also break away from adverts that have connections to political powers that can decide that they will withdraw their source of income to you. It must get to a point where the media must understand that you have to serve the community first. And then their financial funnels must be designed in a manner that it actually taps into all of these openings, the gaps, the opportunities that exist, because they are there. But most often than not, the people who handle or at the helm of affairs of the media organization themselves are also complicit. They also dabble into areas they have no business dabbling into. They make compromises behind the scenes with some of the top persons because either they want them here or they also want other opportunities to come their way. That's on the one hand when it comes to financial independence. Then when it comes to how we educate the public, the Nigerian media has failed woefully. And I mean it, because like you rightly noted, I am somebody who has traversed globally the Nigerian media landscape, and well beyond Nigeria into the European and other African states as well. So I'm speaking from a place where I understand that when you see very effective media doing their job, what it does first, it empowers the mind of the average citizens. It gives the citizens the right information, the right tools to be able to hold both themselves as citizens accountable, as well as those who have been put in positions of responsibility to govern the state and the entire country. then also the media must begin to understand that we have BON, we have NGE, we have Ratau, we have NUJ, NAWAJ. All of these organizations, they all exist, but they all seem to be fighting against each other or disinterested in the entire one visionary goal for the media landscape in Nigeria. Now, until these bodies, even the print organizations of Nigeria, all of them, until they understand that, look, we have only one goal here, the protection of the media's independence and its financial survival, plus the public interest for the citizens, they go nowhere. Instead, what will now happen is you will have a few media organizations who are surviving, but also have linkages to sources of income that no other person below them will have. And that anomaly needs to be corrected. So at this point in time, we want a situation where the media organizations themselves also bring in well-trained members and anchors and researchers and data analysts and reporters and correspondents who actually know the job. Right now, what we have is we have people in broadcast industry, which is a space I have been advocating for, who have no business being in broadcast. Right now, even in the print media and online digitized news platforms, what we're beginning to see is garbage out, garbage in. And this needs to stop. We are reducing the psyche, collective intellectual capacity of our Nigerian audiences. And once the level of the citizens are low, democracy fails every single time.
Okay. All right, Lady Ejiro, thank you very much. Now, in some quarters, some persons have been clamoring for local government autonomy as a way to bring government closer to the people and for them to feel the impact or enjoy the dividends of democracy. Do you share that sentiment? Do you think local government autonomy will change anything, or it's just going to be the same old same?
We already have local government autonomy. The local governments are enjoying their own direct funds. So any local government we see having this conversation of local government autonomy, it simply means that whoever has been elected as the local government chairman and the representatives of the councils themselves have already failed. That means you have incompetent people in position of governance making decisions they have no capacity to deliver on. Now, what has happened in Nigerian democracy system is the hijack of incompetent persons being in positions of making important life-changing decisions across the board for Nigerians. And in this context now, the local government areas. A councillor has so much access to money. The fact comes to the government, it comes to the state as well, it comes to the local government. The question is, did you put a yes sir councillor at that position? Or did you put someone who knows what they are doing and can really deliver on the job? Who can question the state governor and say, Governor, this money that is meant for the local government is meant to take care of our waste disposal system, is meant to make sure that our local roads, direct labor is actually attended to, street lights are done properly. We need to have street lights in all our local government areas. We want to ensure that our primary healthcare systems and centers are effective and are working, and that the mothers who are with this want to reduce the mortality rate for mothers who are getting ill or children who are dying. These are where the monies are supposed to go. So when you're seeing that this is not happening, it means you already have the local government chairman who is in the position of power, whether elected or forced down on people who have no business being there in the first place.
Right. Okay, now moving forward, looking ahead, what's the future of democracy in Nigeria?
It begins with the people. If the people do not understand that the power is in their hands, if you don't know the power you have, you will not know how to deploy it effectively. If you do not understand that there are tools for you to use as a citizen to engage governance, question them, and break down the entire hold that they have, just like they did in New York, you will continue to be oppressed, suppressed, and tyrannized. And then the citizens will begin to read. As many people know me for, I'm an advocate for reading. And I don't mean social media and internet reading or WhatsApp reading. I mean reading books, going to libraries, going to museums to understand history, so that we break this generational cycle of destruction and dependency and poor governance. We must do it as a citizen. And it begins with your capacity to be able to have critical thinking. The average Nigerian is not a critical thinker. It's an emotionally activated, stimulated person whose button can easily be pressed left, right, and center by anybody who knows how to press the button of their emotions. And then psychologically give them the kind of trauma that makes them dependent. Nigerians must understand that they should understand that the elitists, the politicians, see them as a tool for their own end, for their own goals. The moment you understand that somebody is using you and will dump you, you change. What do you begin to do? You tap into the using of the proper tools. There are policy tools that Nigerians must use. We don't engage our local government chairman. How many persons are going to see their local government chairman or even know the local government chairman's name? They're not interested. If you're not interested in something, you will not be part of it. You will not question it. Things will go bad and you will just sit down and look. And that sit down and look mentality is what Nigerians must stop. And from henceforth today, must decide that they cannot be sit down look people. You must write petitions to your local government chairman if they are not doing well. You will organize yourself as a people and have a visit to the local government chairman. He does not even need to know that you are coming. You will go there and you will visit him in your numbers and say, what is going on, local government chairman? You will gather yourself, you go to the House of Assemblies and say, local representatives, I don't see what you're doing. This is what we want. And then when they fail, you make sure they don't come back for voting. And you cannot keep telling me that as a citizen, because one politician told you that your vote does not count, then you will believe that's propaganda, then internalize that propaganda and say, my vote does not count. So there's therefore no point to go and vote. That's a big lie. They want to use that as a strategy to prevent you from actually participating in your democratic system. And if you don't understand that democracy depends on you as a citizen with the vested power, what will happen is you will now remove yourself from this system where you're supposed to be a decision maker. So we must begin to understand that our children, we need to begin to raise patriotic Nigerian children. Even we as adults must be in how we do Nigeria. We must love Nigeria first.
Right. Lady E, thank you so much. We really need to leave the conversation here at this point, but a lot of things has been said, and then at the end of the day, it's up to the federal, the state, and the local government, and also the citizens to pay attention and do the needful. Lady E. Ejiro Umukoro, founder and publisher, Light Ray Media, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Now, that's our bit right here this morning, right here in our Benin studio. We'll take a short break and move over to Abuja and also Lagos. All of this and more after this break. Happy Democracy Day in advance, Nigeria.
ITV, and this is the Abuja Network Studio, where the conversation will continue on Nigeria's democracy for the past 27 years. Ahead of Democracy Day will be tomorrow, that is the 12th of May. But since 29 May 1999, Nigeria returned to civil rule. What are the gains? What are the losses? What have we learned so far? What can we say has been achieved throughout these years? And to discuss this matter with me in the studio, I have Reverend Amoye Simon. He is also a public affairs analyst. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you so much for having me, and maybe congratulations to Nigeria on the 27th Democracy Day.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Now, looking back to 1999,
journey in Nigeria, my
ITV, certainly the best.
Very poor.
According to statistics, voter turnout has crashed from 1999 to 2023. That's from 52% to 29%. And now, why do you think Nigerians would rather not vote than to?
Okay. If I am engaged in any activity, no matter how trivial and no matter how great, and that activity does not bring for me the required benefit, the feedback loop is broken or the feedback loop becomes negative, I will hardly invest my effort and energy in that activity. For those of us that we are around in 1999, we knew the hopes that we came in to democracy with. I think the mention of the word dividends of democracy have declined over the past maybe 10, 15 years. Before now, you hear people talk about dividends of democracy, but you don't hear about that anymore. And that tells you that something have gone wrong within the system. So when people don't come out to vote, it's because they have not actually seen the dividends of democracy. And then the propaganda machine, of course, have continued to be well-oiled in Nigeria. It has continued to discourage people from voting in the sense that a situation is created as if the elections have been done before the votes were cast. And that again have continued to do that. We saw an expression in some states in Nigeria which, while votes were being counted, in some local government chairmen were being announced at the state level. You know, we have cases of while elections were still being held or had not even been held in places, voters had already been declared. We've had cases where people go to court and they get themselves declared as governors or senators or House of Rep members and chairmen and all of that. So why would the citizens waste their time go to the polls to vote if already? So these are the things we see. And again, it comes back to the issue I mentioned, the issue of weak institutions. We have not strengthened our institutions sufficiently to be able to protect not just the interests of the politicians or the elites, as one of your earlier guests said, but also the citizens who are the greatest part of the machine of democracy. So when you see people, when you see voter apathy, you have to check what caused this. You've been here 27 years. How many election cycles have held? The first-time voters that voted in 1999, are they still voting today? Those that have turned 18 between 1999 and today, are they still voting? Those that were born in 1999 should have voted like twice already. Or maybe, yes, but like twice by now in different election cycles. But have they actually cared to go to the polls and vote? And this is how we manage to destroy the voter confidence that we have. So if you don't have if the voters don't have confidence in the system, why waste their time? They rather go to the nearest shop. After all, it's a work-free day in Nigeria. They rather go to the nearest place and relax. In fact, the number of people that you have sitting idle on election day at home and in other places are more than the number of people at the polling units trying to vote. And that should tell us a lot that there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
So in all of this, who should take the blame? Nigerians, INEC, or?
Nigerians. Because every institution in Nigeria is made of Nigerians. I have not seen an INEC chairman that voted. I have not seen a polling unit agent or inspectors, as they like to call themselves. I have not seen one that's a foreign national. Observers, of course, but the operators are Nigerians. So as long as the citizens do not take their stand and play their part, the machine of democracy will continue to, in Nigeria, will continue to run at fault. Now, maybe we'll still go further in the conversation. You ask the question, who is to blame? It is the citizens. It is us. We can't throw the blame to any other person. It is we caused this. We allowed it. We allowed it to fester. We allowed, like your earlier speaker says, the 0.0001-ish percentage of the elitists to hijack the system. And unfortunately, we seem not to have the willpower and also the courage to fight it. Because how do you fight it? Now, how do we fight that? How do the citizens rise up and say, no, this system is not working, it's not favoring us, and so we want a better bargain, we need a better deal? Of course, a lot of schools of thought and individuals have said so many different things that I'll not bother to talk about, and how that can happen from what we call the quiet and maybe how do you call it? Without violence. There's violence-free revolution. You've seen all kinds of stuff trying to happen, all the while, and then it will get squashed and like that. So until the citizens take the blame and are ready to say, okay, we're going to rise up and we're going to solve this now, it's not going to happen, because those that benefit from the system will not want it to change.
They keep telling people to get their PVC. Every election, you get your PVC, get your PVC. And some people feel that because now Nigerians have refused to participate in voting. That is why this keeps happening. But how can Nigeria successfully use their PVCs?
It is still better to go and vote, even though the democracy seems not to be working as we expect. It's still better to participate, because until you participate, you do not have the moral high ground to ask anybody anything. If I did not participate in the immediate past election cycle, I don't have the right to sit down here and say anything, because I did not contribute any resource of my time or energy to see that, to be able to now talk about what did not work. But because I participated, I can talk. I will tell Nigerians, go get your PVC, and when elections come, go and vote. It does not matter whether the vote counted or not, but because then you'll be able to stand and say, I participated, I took part in this. No matter what happened, I have a voice and I have to be listened to. Until that time comes, go and vote. Don't say, it's not working, it's not working. It's not working, it's not working, but who will fix it? It's still you and I. Now, how would we fix it if we don't participate? And we can't seem to fight the system. We can't seem to resist it and to stop it and to change it. So the best thing is get involved. In your involvement, then you introduce the change. But so long as you sideline, you avoid. Avoidance have never solved any problem. In fact, it allows the problem to continue to fester. But if you participate, if you get your voter's card, you go out and vote on election day, and then you can stand up and talk to whoever cares to listen and whoever is willing to cause a change, that I participated and I demand what is, if I have my civic duties, the government also have, and the operators of the government also have their civic duties to participate. So again, I will encourage Nigerians, in the next election cycle, in your local government, from your polling unit, go out and vote. Be a part of the system. In fact, your vote is one of the major weapons we have. However, of course, it can be hijacked. Of course, all kinds of things can happen. But how do we prove that such a thing happened if we do not vote? If you do not go out and vote, how will you prove that your polling unit was rigged, or your the ward in your local government was rigged, or your local government was rigged, if you don't go out and vote? If you create chances for people to be able to use the rigging machine that have already been calibrated, to operate it at full capacity, so how will you now prove that something went wrong? Practical example, you have a polling unit of 15 persons. 3 people came out and vote. The other 12 didn't show up. Of course, the agent can do whatever they want to do and claim that 18 people came and vote. And then the rigging machine is, but if you are able to come out and you ensure that it is only those 3 that voted that can be reported, and then it continues like that, you can track where the rigging comes in, and then you can begin to work from that point to change it. So go out and vote, get your PVC and vote. It is the first step towards solving the problem.
In strengthening institutions, for example, like the Independent National Electoral Commission,
yes.
What will you say should be done to ensure that INEC is 100% independent?
Of course, how does government control everything? It's funding. The funding of INEC must be removed from the control of the executive and even the legislature, even if possible the judiciary. INEC must be capped in such a way that it has full autonomy, not partial, not with strings attached. No, it needs to have a level of full autonomy to act on its own, just the way the name says, independent. But so long as that independence does not exist, then no matter what you do, it's going to be a problem. Number 2, the influence, the overbearing influence that the arms of government want to have on INEC has to be resisted. INEC has to be protected to a large extent. Even if we're going to have an INEC that is only constituted at election, I want you to understand what I'm trying to say. If you're going to have an electoral commission that is only constituted at election, 1 year to election, you constitute, and whatsoever you want to do is done within that time. After elections, declarations, everything is done, INEC goes away. Even if that is what you need to do, in order that you have an unbiased umpire, I would rather have that than have an INEC that is so pressured, influenced by the executive, by the legislature, so that they do things and declare whatsoever that people want them to do. Again, that can only come to play when the citizens realize that they are the ones to protect INEC and not the other way around.
Well, we're really short of time, but before I let you go, your final word.
Democracy have come a long way, but I also believe it has a longer way to go. The oldest democracy we think of for now is the United States. It's about 200 years and counting. I believe Nigeria can get beyond 200 years, but we must get back to solving democracy. Our democracy, in my words, is sick. It needs to be cured, and then it can do the work that we desire it to do. And who are to cure it? It is we, citizens. It is not the elites. It's not, they won't solve it because they are benefiting from it as it stands, in my estimation. We, the citizens, the everyday Nigerian, we are the ones that are going to fix it. And the way we're going to fix it does not start with, you know, a 100 million man march to the villa. That won't solve it. It is from our own little spheres. And where is that? Your polling unit. That's catch area where you vote, where you cast your vote. That is where the change must begin. Get involved in politics. Get involved in political parties. Be a part of the machinery so that you can introduce that change that you want to see. Or else, I pray that the next scorecard will be better.
Thank you very much, Reverend Simon Amoye Simon, and also a public affairs analyst. That was quite interesting, and it's been good having you on the program.
Thank you very much.
Well, that will be all from the Abuja Network studio. After this time out, we will be linking you up with Lagos studio for more.
Some days, there comes the Ugemobo Festival, which the Oba celebrates outside the palace gate. A pavilion is built of red cloth where rites are performed to drive away all evil spirits still unsatisfied by the year's sacrifices. The Ugemobo Festival is to commemorate an event in Benin history which dates back to 1504 AD.
Many thanks for rejoining on TMI this beautiful morning on ITV. I am Marcelina Unko. And of course, I have Dr. Ohai here with me. We would be doing this together. Dr. Victor, good morning once again.
Good morning.
Okay, our guest this morning that would help us talk about this topic is Dapo Adaramewa. He is a governance consultant, spokesperson, and also Obedience Movement. Hello, good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, how are you?
Mr. Dapo, good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm very well,
Thank you so much for coming. So today we're going to be talking about, tomorrow is June 12th, Democracy Day, as Nigeria delivered on its promise on democracy. So that is what we'll be talking about tomorrow, as Nigeria marks another Democracy Day on June 12th. Questions that once again being asked, a state of our democracy 27 years after the return to civilian rule. Many Nigerians are reflecting on the gains, the challenges, and the road ahead. Nigeria delivered on its promises of freedom, development, and good governance, or are citizens still waiting for the dividends we are promised? These are some of the issues we will discuss today on this table. Do we practice democracy in Nigeria, or is just always celebrating come out to speak? Do we have freedom of speech in Nigeria? Government delivered on democracy? Dr. Victor, let's get you to hear your take before.
Okay, so for me, yeah, June 12, you know, it used to be May 9, and they changed it to June 12. And there's sentimental reasons for terms of June was if it was one. Unfortunately, the military aborted it. So my question to you, the first question is this in Nigeria that Nigerians voted for on June 12th?
I would say no. What we got was a hollowed out shell of what a democracy is, right? So we have the institutions, we have the doctrine of separation of powers. We have elections. You know, we have an executive. We have a judiciary. But over the years, through corruption, it's just a bad leadership. All of those things have been hollowed out. Then no longer just supposed to serve. And the clearest evidence of that is the fact that Nigeria is no longer believing in the system. delivering for Nigerians. People are pointing that out and inciting Nigeria.
In a rare display of botanical brilliance, the palm tree defied natural norms, sprouting multiple branches that bear fruits. This rare occurrence has become a wonder to many, as experts are calling it a one-in-a-million phenomenon. Could this multiple-headed marvel hold secret to agricultural breakthroughs, or is it simply a freak accident of nature? An agronomist with Nigeria Institute for Oil Palm Research, NIFOR Benin. The strange palm tree also raises issues of a blend of science with human interest and cultural significance for maximum impact.
ITV, certainly the best.
The Ugewe is the final ceremony of the series of festivals. It is one of peace and lightheartedness, following the more solemn of the ritual year. Ugewe is the festival of the Ewe leaves, a symbol of good luck and joy. It is the most popular of all that heralds the dawn of a Benin New Year, new vow, newness of life and freshness of life, and a new hope for the future. In the evening, the Ewe leaves are presented to the Oba of Benin in grand style in a colorful ceremony. The Ihogbe society, amidst singing and dancing, bring the sacred leaves that symbolize good luck, blessings, peace, and prosperity. Each of the senior members of the Ihogbe proceeds to give the sacred leaves directly to the Oba of Benin, and others put theirs at his feet.
Thank you very much for joining us on the program, Healthy Living. What is the kidney?
The kidney is an excretory organ in the body, which is for metabolism.
Tuberculosis affects many organs in the body, but the common ones it usually affects is the lungs.
Epilepsy is a neurological problem.
Okay.
It is an injury in the brain which causes someone to begin to convulse, to go into fits.
It is curable, but the cure is a long-term thing.
If you eat well and avoid those risk factors that will make your immunity to be down, then the risk of contracting tuberculosis will be reduced.
If you're healthy, then you're wealthy.
You can't fix it in 4 years. This is a rot that has been on for 16 years and all that. And we have people waiting, like Peter Obi, for instance, who also is promising the same thing. Do you think Nigeria is fixable under the current system, or is it a systemic problem, endemic in the system, such that even if we were to bring an angel to put on that seat, that nothing would change? And then, if not, how can things truly change if you put the right man there?
See, that's an age-old question. If you bring an angel into Nigerian politics, you know, how long will he last? Right? But I believe people underestimate the power of leadership. I always give the example of I recently had to apply for my passport, and I was by and large able to do it online. Right? And so it's very clear that
that's impressive.
Very, very impressive, right? That the minister in charge of that area is doing very, very well, right? Regardless of where politically I should say that man is doing a phenomenal. But that's evidence that, you know, leadership changes everything. So when we bring in the right leaders, what they're able to do is change the culture of how governance is done. You see, there's a limit. If I was president today and I was stealing billions, and you were my vice president, I can't tell you to stop stealing.
True.
Do you understand what I'm saying? If we bring in a leader who is clean, shall we say, who has background from all of the that will change everything. And beyond that, what we need is structural changes. You're right in saying that one person cannot just come in and fix all the problems, but one person can come in and make structural changes. When we look at local government autonomy, for example, if we have local government autonomy, if the local government chairmen were getting the funding that they need directly from the federal government, and they were forced to give account of how they were spending it, let me tell you what's going to happen. The first set, maybe 80% of them will do the same thing that they've always done. They will steal the money. But what's going to happen to the 20% that deliver for the people? The people will wake up to the reality that, okay, my local government has improved because of this man and his ability to manage. What happens to that person? There's a chance that that person can progress politically because the people then support him. You allow little pockets of exceptionalism, right? And once you have that, the people, it builds the faith of the people, it builds the belief of the people. It decentralizes power. And what we need now is true democracy. So you have a president who is willing to give power to the local governments and ensure that they can do what they need to do, then progress can be made. If you have a president who's willing to allow the judiciary be independent, if you have members of government who are not going to openly, you know, buy cars and houses for our judges, then, you know, there's a chance that this system can survive. There's a famous author who wrote a book about the judicial system and how it was an abuse of power. And what was the first thing they did to him? They picked him up, locked him up, extraordinary rendition, interstate travel, arrested him and took him somewhere to go and hide him in a hole. Evidence of the very thing he wrote about in his book. So when all these institutions of government are corrupted, what you need is a leader who is going to go and reform these different institutions and allow them serve their purpose, which is checks and balances on power.
So do you think we're going to get that leader? I mean, some of them intend to come out to say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to... But they get to the seat and they change.
The beauty is, every 4 years we get an opportunity. And beyond every 4 years, we have the opportunity to recall our, you know, House of Rep members, you know, our senators, we can recall them.
Has that been done?
It has never happened simply because the people themselves are not engaging with the process. So I will admit that, yes, Nigeria's democracy is weak, but compared to Cameroon, compared to other West African countries where their leaders have been there 30 years, 94-year-olds ruling countries, we are in a good condition compared to them.
You're using that to console yourself, actually.
Yes, I'm not using that to console myself. I'm using that to remind the Nigerian people that they need to wake up before we get there.
Okay.
Like, let us react and take action now when we still have a chance, right? Justice Crack was released. There are countries where he will never be seen alive again. So let us not sit aside and let this thing get worse to the point when we become, like Cameroon, respect to them, but a 94-year-old who can't stand being your president is a serious problem.
Okay. So, in Zimbabwe, such a thing is happening. There's a trade-off between the president and the parliament. He wants 2 extra years. He's offering them 6 years so they can vote for him. And all that. But let's come back to our democracy again. When you look at the way Nigeria is going right now, and you see the political process we're looking at tomorrow, June 12th, people are saying that, you think we're not going there yet, but they're saying we are gradually becoming a one-party state. I want you to assess what is going on right now, the trend, and what seems to be playing out, and what danger it portends, or what prospects there are for us as a nation.
The challenge of heading towards a single-party state. You see, the difficulty is you can't exactly call it illegal, right? Because these are people who have a freedom of association, so they can move to any party, right? So I won't criticize it from that place. I would just say it is a natural response to the apathy of the people. And I keep coming back to the people because that's where it starts. When you know that if I change parties, the very people who elected me will just keep quiet, then you'll do that. I bet you if you go to America and you're a Republican and one day you decide that you're going to be a Democrat, see what happens at the next election. Your people will vote you out overwhelmingly. In fact, they might not even wait till the election. They will recall you as a senator or whatever, right? So when you have a system where the power is upheld by a few people, in order to stay president of Nigeria, in reality, you just need a small demographic of people. And the president has been doing that effectively and bringing all of them to his party, right? And the governors are the same. So when you have that kind of system, it creates an incentive to disregard the people. Because the very demographic of people who are, shall we say, privileged enough to be able to turn down 10K for their votes are the people who sit at home during the election. They're the people who say, oh, INEC server was not working when I tried to register, so I gave up. We cannot do that. And the final thing I believe we need to transform in this country, in the spirit of June 12, is that we need to look at civic education. Particularly for young people, we need to teach them about the power of institutions, about what a democracy is, right? So that way they grow into adults who know that we put institutions before people, we put national interests before tribal interests, right? Because that's the only way we develop as a nation. We cannot be, shall we say, a hot pot of people who do not love or care about each other. And it starts with our education system. The history that we teach our children today is very hollow, very hollow. It does not teach them the critical aspects about their history, talk about patriotism, about pre-colonial Nigeria, and the underpinnings of what a strong country looks like. Countries do it. Singapore does it, right? These things can be done. I believe that if we make an attempt to make change, we'll get what we want.
While you're on that, can you address the issue of youth apathy? Because you find not just voter apathy, but even the youth don't seem interested. They feel with this Baba Sokwe type of whatever that, look, no matter what we try, they will pick who they want. We don't. There's money politics, okay? There's the godfatherism. These things are big monsters, and it has discouraged many visionary youths from going in. How can this be addressed?
What holds up the structure is propaganda. Effective propaganda, I will add. The propaganda has been sold to the young people that, listen, it doesn't matter. No matter what you do, it won't change anything. The system cannot change. And the young people, unfortunately, have believed that and they've held on to that story. But they don't understand that that story, that lie, is what propagates the system, is what holds the system up. If your votes didn't matter, nobody would buy it.
Would you blame them? I mean, we saw on the internet where during the primaries election, they're counting votes and you're hearing 1, 2, 50, 60, 100. I mean,
it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Would you blame them?
Yes.
Okay.
I will blame the Nigerian people constantly, because once you've heard the truth, you should be set free. Once you've been told that this is all a lie, and that if you actually take the chance, because Nigerians think that they are adverse to risk, right? It's risky, it's a waste of time. Why try? It might not work. You know what has constantly not worked? The system. Everybody avoids participating in what will change the country in the hopes and the prayer that the country does not affect them. Do you understand? So everybody knows that roads might not be safe, but their prayer is that, God, just when I leave let me come back. Other people might die, but me, myself, let me come back home. And to me, that is the height of selfishness, regardless of what religion you are. It's based in love. So just because I am okay, or I happen to have a car that's going to get me from point A to point B
and everything
safely,
else is okay.
It doesn't mean that I stop caring about everybody else. It doesn't mean that just because I can afford a private hospital, doesn't mean I shouldn't care that the fact that the state hospitals are underfunded and under-equipped. There are people dying in these hospitals. There are mothers dying from complications that could have otherwise been handled, right? So I do hold people responsible because they need to wake up to the reality, right? Once you've been told once or twice, it is your responsibility to act. Because frankly speaking, if you don't act, at some point it will reach you. If it doesn't reach you directly, it will reach somebody you know. And that's the truth about Nigeria.
Looking ahead of 2027, what reforms are necessary before the next general election?
Before the next general election, I can say the reforms I believe would be beneficial. The question is whether or not they are going to be. So it's not too late for the Senate, given the majority of APC, to pass a bill that limits, that creates anti-stagnation in the Senate by ensuring that governors cannot come back. Right? It's not too late for them to pass electoral reform, I believe, in order to ensure that there's electronic transmission of results. Right?
Okay.
There are many things that can be done between now and then, right? You can reform the electoral system in the sense that, okay, let's allow for the transmission of results.
Real time,
the transmission of results. And then also, I think probably the biggest thing you can do right now is, practically speaking, let me be, is security and civic education. Security in the sense that we need the presidency to come out and guarantee Nigerians that, listen, regardless of who you come out to vote, as your president, as a constitutionally bound president, I will ensure the safety and security of all Nigerians. And do that with a show of force, ensure that the police are out there to secure people and ensure that it's a free and fair election. We have the Ekiti election coming up. Show the people, yes, we have Oshun as well, show the people that you can do something different. And then also educate the people. I believe there's a National Commission of Orientation or something like that.
Yes. National Orientation Agency.
Yes, Orientation Agency. They can launch a huge campaign around the country that talks about the fact that Nigerians should vote and engage with the system. Those are simple things that can be done, that do not even require legislative passing of any bills, that the presidency can do to show itself as, something different.
All right, we're actually out of time, Dr. Little.
Okay, so just this very briefly. You talked about this issue of governors, not, the graveyard of governors is in the
yes,
Senate.
It's in the Senate.
And you think that an Akpabio will superintend over that? so my worry, I don't know, you may or may not respond to it, and so because of time, but I'm just worried that we have legislators who are supposed to act as check and balance, but have become a rubber stamp, therefore negating the very essence and spirit of democracy.
Yeah, I mean, definitely we do have that. But the answer to that is the elections next year.
All right.
The Nigerians need to respond.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Dapo, for your time. Thank you, Nigerians. 27 years after the return of democratic rule, if MKO Abiola were alive today, do you think he would be satisfied with the state of Nigerians' democracy? That is a big question for you. Thank you once again for joining us this beautiful morning from our Lagos Network studio on TMI. I am Marcelina. We will be handing over to our Benin Network studio for the continuation on TMI. Just stay with us.
Top of the morning to you, and thanks for joining us on ITV News for this time. I am Harry Igbo-J. The federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to protect Nigeria's biodiversity conservation and environmental sustainability with the inauguration of key infrastructure and community support projects at Okomu National Park in Ovia Southwest Local Government Area, Edo State. The projects, executed under the Food and Agriculture Organization FAO and Global Environment Facility 7 Biodiversity Project, attracted government officials, development partners, and stakeholders, including representatives of the Edo State government, and inaugurated by the Minister of Environment, Malam Balarabe Abbas Lawal. Ofuria Neto reports.
On his arrival in Benin City, the Minister of Environment, Malam Balarabe Abbas, led a high-power delegation to Udo community in Ovia Southwest Local Government Area for the inauguration of key projects under the FAO and GEF 7 Biodiversity projects. The intervention, supported by the Global Environmental Facility, the Food and Agriculture Organization, CIRA, and the National Park Service, include a ranger barracks, renovated FOCA office at Okomu National Park, and conservation support equipment for host communities. Welcoming the delegation, Conservator of Okomu National Park, Lawrence Usaze, described the projects as a boost to biodiversity conservation. Honorable Nusa Adams, who represented Governor Mondo Upewulu, reaffirmed the state's commitment to environmental protection.
It demonstrates the federal government's unwavering commitment to protecting our nation's rich biological resources. And also beneficiaries to take ownership of them and ensure that they are properly maintained.
FAO representative in Nigeria and to ECOWAS, Dr. Hussein Gandani, commended the partnership and reaffirmed the organization's commitment to environmental sustainability.
The facility is being commissioned today represent more than physical construction. That symbolize our shared commitment to protecting biodiversity.
These facilities will provide better working conditions for our rangers and strengthen the protection of vital ecosystems.
High points include the unveiling of conservation and livelihood support equipment, inspection of a guard of honor, and a guided tour of the newly commissioned facilities. Earlier, the minister paid a courtesy visit to the ESL of Udo, His Royal Highness Patrick Igbeneghu, from Okomu National Park of Furi and Neta, ITV News.
And the Ojonwe elders of Ugoniye Korionwo in Orionwa local government area Edo State have warned members of the public not to transact any business with the suspended Enogie Edugi Oriahi. Usemo Jame Usage was there.
A statement jointly signed by the Odionwe, Pa James Ebo Ehige, and Okaigele, Mr. Vincent Agbonhikpakpa, says anyone who transacts business, especially landed property with a suspended Enogi, does so at his or her own risk. It advised anyone who wishes to transact business in Ugoniye Korionwo to do so through the Odionwe appointed by the Palace of the Oba of Benin. The statement also called on all landed property owners in Ugoniye Korionwo to present their documents for verification and authentication. According to the statement, the verification exercise will take place from 1st July to 31st October 2026. The statement advised anyone who wishes to make further inquiries to contact the Odionwe, Pa James Ebo Ehige, or the Okaigele, Mr. Vincent Agbonhikpakpa, through the phone numbers on the screen.
And to other stories, where the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, along with national commissioners, is meeting with chairmen and secretaries of political parties ahead of the forthcoming Ekiti governorship. The meeting, which is scheduled for June 20th, 2026, will hold exactly 11 days to the governorship election. The meeting hopes to enable the political parties of the electoral umpire to put finishing touches on all the preparations for the Ekiti governorship election. In his opening remarks, the INEC chairman, Joash Amopiton, defended the commission's decision to appeal the recent court judgment on the powers of the commission to set a timetable for elections, including that of setting timelines for pre-election activities for political parties, such as the conduct of primaries and the submission of the list of candidates. The chairman maintains that the decision which upheld the powers of INEC to issue the election timetable on the one hand, and on the other hand, struck out the powers of INEC to set the timeline for political parties' primaries, was inconsistent and therefore sought a clearer judicial pronouncement. The INEC chief said the commission has filed appeals against both decisions and taken the necessary legal steps to obtain authoritative pronouncements from the appellate courts. The maiden edition of the ITV Corporate Cup 2026 has reached its climax, with NIFOR and Nigeria Breweries securing their places in the grand finale following dominant semi-finals final victories over their respective opponents. Solomon Aino has details.
The semi-final stage produced exciting football action as the participating corporate teams battled for a place in the historic final. NIFOR maintained their impressive form in the competition with a convincing 3-0 victory over 7-Up, displaying composure, discipline and attacking efficiency. The Research Institute controlled the game from start to finish and comfortably booked their spot in the finals. In the second semi-final encounter, Nigerian Breweries delivered the most emphatic performance of the tournament, overwhelming Money Point with a remarkable 9-0 victory. The dominant display underlined their title ambition as they marched into the championship final in style. Following the games, players and officials shared their thoughts on the results and commended the organization of the competition.
Thank God for everything, but I expect more to come because I pray to leave the trophy on the last day.
Although the game is a very fair game, at least there's a good turn-up, as in expectation as it was much on the tournament. But in terms of our next match, we pray, we hope to God, give all thanks to Allah. Maybe next match, maybe we might be able to do something better.
And the game was a good game, and I think we lost formation after the first 2 goals. We decided to play fluid, which was not really ideal. We were no longer tactical. And I want to give it to our opponents who made use of the opportunity. And I know that we'll learn from our mistake and we'll come back fully prepared to fight our way in the third place. I think this is the first time something like this is being organized. And for the efforts that has been made by the organization, I want to give it up to them. They really did well. ITV has made a good gesture.
The outcome set up a highly anticipated final between NIFO and Nigerian Breweries as both teams battle for the inaugural ITV Corporate Cup title. Meanwhile, 7up and Morning Point will compete in the third place playoff. Both matches are scheduled to take place on Friday, June 12, 2026. From Benin, Solomon Aino, ITV News.
And that sums it on ITV News for this time. Thanks so much for watching. I am Harry Igboje. TMI Socials is up next. Please stay tuned.
ITV, certainly the best.
The man went out to bring in thugs to come and beat her.
Yeah.
In a situation like that, do you think women would have seen that and still want to speak?
Really, we're talking about. That's what I said. So when they bullied her,
Yeah.
if she's not bold enough, she will shut up.
What is your advice for girls out there that are so desperate to be married?
We women, we have to be really intentional about our parenting.
If you know a child is being abused, or you see signs, a bruise or a child, it has to be investigated.
People barely even breathe when they are going for a shrebi and something.
Party.
You have to be
They can't
smart.
sit
If
down.
you see when they are dressing them or are dragging on both sides, you cannot you cannot breathe.
Oh, wow.
And these women will stay in those events for hours.
Good morning. This is TMI Socials. Welcome on board. I am Nuruluwa Stevens. Or better still call me a social media butterfly. Now guess what? The 2026 World Cup is finally here. As our video of the day is the main opening ceremony and the inaugural match of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. It will take place today in Mexico. Now, because this year's tournament is co-hosted across 3 nations, FIFA is hosting a unique 3-part trilogical of opening ceremonies, and with additional major ceremonies taking place in Canada and the United States. Now let's take a feel at the video that went viral. Well, absolutely, this is your moment. Interestingly, we'll be having the opening match done today against South Africa versus Mexico, the Bafana of South Africa and Mexico. And a lot of Nigerians are actually rooting for Mexico. Of course, you know why. Anyway, back here in Nigeria, in Delta State precisely, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority yesterday grounded a privately operated aircraft, suspended the operator's permit following an emergency landing on a highway near Asaba, Delta State, and what it described as an unauthorized departure from the scene without regulatory approval. Now, the development was disclosed in a preliminary report released yesterday by NCAA and signed by Michael Achimugu, the Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection. So according to the authority, it received preliminary reports concerning an occurrence involving a privately operated aircraft in the vicinity of Asaba, Delta State yesterday on Wednesday. Now, let's take a look at a video of how this particular aircraft actually, I don't know how it miraculously got into the road, on the road, and had to take off from the road. Take a look.
Go. Make it take off now. Take off now. You don't take off.
You don't go.
No. You never go. Don't go.
Don't go. Hey. You didn't see him. I know they will see for the video.
Oh my goodness, it's the thank God for me. How did you react to this online? Only in Nigeria would you see this kind of thing. Anyway, the social media user actually reacting to this on X wrote. Let's have our first tweet with this one saying, what is going on? How did the plane land on the concrete road to begin with, Nigeria? Well, this user, another one says, aircraft misroad care. God that beg. Investigation should be done ASAP. Well, still in the story, this user wrote, how can it miss a destination when it is not a bus? He must be concealing something. Well, reacting to this more, this user says, if we could have our final reaction on this video. Okay, is that all we have on this one? Anyway, that's all we have. This one says, this is example of how lives in Nigeria, living at the edge day by day, no structure, everything against you, and thank God. Okay, anyway, thank God, away from that. Now let's go over to Abuja. Well, this time around, Senator Adams Oshomole yesterday was trending as he actually came down hard on the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited as the Senate probed alleged discrepancies running into millions of naira in NNPCL's audited financial statement. And he actually called them dens of thieves. Take a look.
NNPC has no reputation. Your reputation is for fraud. Can you sit on to our head and say people want their children to be
because you are a senator does not mean you should sit here and be abusing
you think we are
the whole people in NNPC and us here. Don't talk like that.
Mr. Chairman, we need to make wait. Don't do that. Wait. When the senator has the floor, please allow me to land, and I will land nicely. I listen. I hear you say people want their children to be employed in NNPC. Yes, because it's a house of thieves. And they want their children to benefit from it. Yeah. So you don't say those things. Number two. Wait. Allow me to finish. NNPC has no reputation. Your reputation is for fraud. Can you sit on to our head and you say people want their children to be
because you are a senator does not mean you should sit here and be abusing
you think we are
the whole people in NNPC and us here.
Well, sure, Baba, doing the Lord's work right there. How did you take this online? We see what you have been saying, netizens. This one wrote, somehow, the old comrade is coming back. Okay, well, another user on Facebook says, this is one of my favorite aspects of Oshomole. You can't stop an Edo man from voicing his opinion. He must finish it. Okay, well, still on this beat, this user wrote on Facebook, this committee of the Senate is becoming active, and of course things we love to see. Now finally this one says, after this, what next? Well, we'll keep you up to speed if there's any, follow-up conversation regarding this video. Now away from that, the EFCC boss, Ora Olukoyede, currently trending online as he says governorship aspirants have spent between 20 billion naira and 30 billion naira on party primaries, warning that the trend poses a serious threat to democratic governance and fuels corruption in public office. Well, he stated this yesterday in the University of Ilori, right there in Kwara State, when he was delivering a lecture. Take a listen to him.
Sometime late last year, we took an assessment of how much a contestant for the office of the governor in Nigeria spends in the build-up to the election, during the primaries, and during the election itself, and post-election, tribunal issues and all of that. And we saw it to be between 20 and 30 billion naira. Yes. And so if you spend that kind of money to get to an office, of course, everybody sees it as an investment. And that's why we are here, to see what can we do to sanitize our electoral process and ensuring that...
Imagine spending 20 billion to 30 billion naira just to conduct party primaries or to be part of the process. Let's see what netizens have been saying regarding this interesting revelation. This user wrote, laugh out loud. How youth won't take be leaders of tomorrow. With 30 billion, it go don't forget say tomorrow they save. Okay, 30 billion care. Well, that's a whole lot of money there. Well, still on this video, this one says you can't spend that amount of money and perform truly. Another user reacting to this one wrote on X. Let's see what we have next. This user wrote, no wonder them know they care after them win election. No wonder they will sit on throne, but someone else will be giving them order on what to do. It's getting clearer. Well, the tale of the Nigerian state. Now, still on what transpired yesterday in a video that has now gone viral. Yesterday at the National Assembly, a brief fire outbreak occurred. Actually did cause panic within the Senate wing of the National Assembly complex in Abuja, forcing the lawmakers and staff to rush out of hearing arena during the legislative procedures. Now, eyewitness report and video clips circulating online showed smoke filling a room shortly after a Senate committee session ended. Now, take a look at how it went. Well, I honestly would have loved to have the video really played. It's really sad that we cannot get the video on for you. But according to witness report that we still did get from this particular one, it said that the cause of the fire was because of a microwave that was actually left switched on in that particular axis, and that's actually caused the scene there. Now let's take reactions on the story if we can. This one wrote, scope to avoid accounting for missing funds. Nothing is new in this country. Another user says, crowd yet no single fire extinguisher in sight. We are talking about the National Assembly. Nigeria never fails to disappoint. Well, still in this beat, this user wrote that fire has burned down documents containing $5.5 billion. Watch out for the news that follows. Okay, well, we're looking forward to all of that and more. Now, as we wrap up TMI Socials today, here is a clip of the governor of Edo State, who happens to now join the League of the Dancing Governors in Nigeria, digging it down and showing you how the mood would be come Democracy Day tomorrow. Take a look. Oh my goodness. Well, the mood for the weekend is set already. The dancing governor, should I say, Governor Monday Okpebholo. Well, thank you so much for being part of the show today. This is how we wrap up TMI Socials. Shout out to you for partaking with everything that we've done so far from 7 a.m. up until this time. We'll do this again next week. From all of us on the show, Lagos, Abuja, and right here in Edo State, have yourself a great day ahead and happy Democracy Day, Nigeria.
This is ITV. Certainly the best.